And in 2016, I received a wrongful death lawsuit payout to the tune of $600,000. Yeah. And so within the course of about 3.5 years, Haley and I had managed to blow through all of that money and get into over $220,000 worth of essentially consumer and student loan debt.
I love talking about increasing your net worth. This is our barometer for wealth building success. Today, we're going to speak with a couple who has grown their family net worth by over $400,000 in just over 4 years. Justin and Haley Brown Woods are our guests today. Justin and Haley live in Northern California with their 3 young children. And when they are not building young family wealth, they enjoy helping others build wealth as well through their platform, Price of Avocado Toast. Welcome to the show, Justin and Haley.
Thank you so much for having us, Andy.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I was honored to meet you guys in person recently down in New Orleans for a conference where we share like-minded ideas about helping people build their wealth. So I'm excited to talk to you guys today about your story. Can you help us go back a little bit? Talk to us about what your original motivation was for building your net worth and your wealth as you have over the past few years.
Yeah, our story is pretty wild, but the gist of it is essentially that we realized with about 2 months before our first daughter was coming that we were in severe debt, had blown through a really large chunk of money that not many people see in their lifetime, and that if we didn't turn things around, our family wasn't going to be able to kind of break some of the generational traumas that we had both lived through as young kids and that we knew that our parents had lived through as young kids. And so we, much like most folks, wanted different and, wanted better for our own kids. And that's really what kind of kickstarted our journey to figure out this whole, money stuff.
Got it. Yeah. Haley, talk to us a little bit more about that background. What was this debt and where did it come from? And talk to us about that.
Yeah, we originally started off with having over $261,000 of debt, which included the home debt that we had in our primary residence, along with some student loans. We had car debt. We had credit card debt. We had literally everything that you could think of. We had a timeshare, and everything just kind of compiled. And it was a massive result of lifestyle inflation. We received the money Justin was talking about prior to this and just spent a lot of money and then got ourselves into a really big hole because we didn't know how to manage our money. So that's where it all came from.
Got it. And this windfall of money, where did that come from?
Well, my paternal grandmother passed away from mesothelioma, which is asbestos-caused lung cancer. And that was in 2015 that she passed away. And in 2016, I received a wrongful death lawsuit payout to the tune of $600,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And so within the course of about 3.5 years, Haley and I had managed to blow through all of that money and get into over $220,000 worth of essentially consumer and student loan debt.
Wow. Okay. First of all, I'm sorry about your grandmother's passing, and it's I guess a good opportunity for you guys to get that money. Talk to us about what you bought and how did that get to that point? I mean, obviously, I heard a couple things. I heard a home, I heard a timeshare, I heard credit cards. What was purchased during that time frame?
Well, some of the wise things we did were we did put about $270,000 into a home here in Northern California. So that was one smart thing that we were really happy with. Additionally, I bought a vehicle in cash, $40,000. That was a Toyota RAV4. So, good, sturdy, reliable vehicle. Beyond that, though, it was kind of just spent. We were subsidizing our lifestyle, living in a townhome that we had no business renting. We were taking a lot of date nights out, having dinner. We were buying things frivolously that we really didn't need, but we thought that life said we needed them. And that's really what happened, that not only went through that large chunk of money, that money essentially ended at our wedding. We paid for our wedding in cash, and that was a zero balance essentially. And then we got into the consumer debt. So we had about $27,000 in credit card debt. We had a $16,000 timeshare. We had a $50,000 Toyota vehicle. We had student loans up the wazoo. We were just about as regular gets, just 10 times over.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's amazing to hear the story, but I don't really fault you that much. I mean, I know we're talking about how you've come out of this, and it's fantastic, but to be presented with that much money at such an early age in your life without sort of the knowledge and tools of how to use it. I mean, are you surprised at all that that this happened?
No, not at all. And now we work with people on their finances and helping people manage their money. And I have really come to notice that this is a trend. And for us, it was a very extreme amount of money. It was $600,000. But I've noticed that the same thing happens for a lot of people if they receive $6,000, say for like a tax refund, and they are unprepared to do something with that money, or they haven't talked about it. All of a sudden, it will get spent, and then you look back one day and you're like, wait, what happened? So I actually am not surprised that it panned out this way. Obviously, I wish it didn't, but it did, and it has led us to where we are today. But yeah,
Well,
you can't give someone that money at a young age and expect them to manage it well.
I mean, I don't. If I got that amount when I was, were you guys in your early 20s?
Yeah, 24 and 23.
If I got that amount of money, oh man, I would have gone crazy too. I was not as responsible or as a guy with a podcast about how to manage your money back then. I agree with you guys. So, all jokes aside, did you guys have fun during this time frame?
We
did.
We definitely had a lot of fun.
I know we're talking about this tale, and it's not, not something that we want to glorify as a great thing to maybe do. But I mean, I hope you guys had a good time at least.
We did. It was
during
a lot
that
of
time
fun.
frame, especially
We
as you're
did.
getting together in your relationship and learning all these things together. I mean, talk about ups and downs in a great way to build a strong relationship, especially if you can come out of this together as smiling as you are today. Okay, very cool. Well, thank you very much for the background. I appreciate it. So now that you guys are on the other side of this award that you received, and realizing where you were at that zero level, talk to us about what you guys do for income today and how you built yourself out of this situation.
Yeah, definitely. So we are now full-time financial coaches and podcasters, and this is what we do now as our full-time job. But while we were paying off all of our debt and we were in the thick of it, we were teachers. Both of us were public school teachers, making about $100,000, $110,000 combined for our household income. And then that was like the top of the line, how much money we were making during that time. We actually went through some transitions where our income went from $110,000 to about $70,000 because I left teaching and then started my business, and that took a second to get off of the ground. And then now we're both out of teaching and doing this full time. But it was between like $110,000 and $70,000 while we were paying off debt and teaching and figuring out what we were doing.
I love that. Well, I mean, yes, and being able to help people in a major passion area that you have as well now, both teaching before as well as what you're doing now. Can you talk to us about the net worth and what that is made up of today? Let's start with the asset side of things. When we're looking at net worth, we look at the assets as one of the sides. Talk to us about what you have as far as assets are concerned.
Okay, perfect. One thing I want to mention is I think earlier I said that we had $260,000 of debt, and that actually wasn't correct. When we first started, we had over $491,000 of debt. And our net worth when we first started was negative $230,000. So I got the numbers mixed up there. But today, our net worth is positive $231,000. So it's kind of cool to see that full swing into the positive. But the assets today consist of liquid cash under a couple different situations. We have an emergency fund of $35,000. That also includes our sinking fund money that we have set aside. So it's like emergency fund and sinking funds. We also have liquid cash sitting in our Ally High Yield Savings account at $77,000. And that comes from a couple different things. We sold our house a couple years ago, which is part of what we did on our journey. And then also his mom unfortunately passed away in 2022 unexpectedly. So we received a little bit of money from her death after she passed away as well. And we have a real estate investment property that is worth $44,000. Our Roth IRAs combined are $65,000. And we have brokerages for our kids for a little over $23,000. Both of our teacher pensions combined are $41,000, and vehicles are $35,000. And for a long time, we didn't include vehicles because we thought maybe we wouldn't sell them. But we have sold cars a few times now, so at any point we could just get rid of them.
Hey, it's an asset, man. I've got some vehicles too. I count mine, absolutely. So let's talk about the liabilities side of things as well, so people understand the other side, how it all shakes out.
Yeah, currently our only liabilities are our student loans. We still have combined about $90,000 in student loans. We originally were planning on totally paying them off with proceeds from the home sale and then kind of rebuilding from zero. But we were both teachers at the time, and there's obviously the PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, that we wanted to explore more fully. And our financial advisor had said, "Hey, let's chat more about this." He's a certified student loan professional, so we really felt confident with his feedback there. And so we're kind of waiting to see, do I ever re-enter education? Does Haley ever re-enter education? What does that look like? But in the meantime, just making our monthly payments on those and tackling them as needed. So that is currently our only liabilities, those student loans.
Got it. So with PSLF, you can take a break in between your full teaching career, and then be able to re-enter and then still have the opportunity for forgiveness. Is that right?
As long as you're continuing to make the appropriate monthly payment. Obviously, it will stretch time, right? Because the theory is teachers get in and work for 10 years, make the payment consistently for 120 months, and then it takes care of itself. But if you take a break, as long as you continue to make those payments, then your kind of clock restarts, or it's on pause essentially and restarts then when you're back in the classroom.
Got it. I'm super curious. What's your thought on re-entering, not a re-entering? Are you saying, hey, let's see how this entrepreneur world goes, and if we fall flat on our faces, then I'll go back? I mean, I by the way, that's me every day with what I'm doing as far as my small business goes. What are your thoughts there?
I am 120% never going back to teaching, and
Okay.
Justin is approaching. I don't know, what's your percentage these days?
Yeah, I'd say I'm approaching. I'm maybe like 65, 75%.
65.
But
Okay.
I really enjoyed teaching. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. But we have young kids. We have a 4-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and an 8-month-old. And as you know, with the kids, we can't get this time back. And so, while they're here at home and not in school yet, being home and being able to be present parents is what lights us up and what brings us joy. And we're okay, kind of pausing our career journeys in the education world and taking the small business risks to see what that leads to. But I don't know. You'll have to check back in 5 years. I'll let you know.
I love it. I love your ability to be flexible with this time in life, because it is fleeting. It's short. You've got 3 kids. What are your ages of your kids right now?
4, almost 3, and 8 months old.
Woo! Yeah, you guys are busy at home. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, I mean, another reason now that you've changed your lives to have this flexibility in this entrepreneur world, it could be probably hard for you to imagine having Justin gone out of the house during the workday. Is that true?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's like most people's reality is my worst nightmare, and I remind myself every day. I'm like, oh, I guess that I just love where we're at right now. I really don't want either of us to have to leave, but that's not that bad if it happens.
Absolutely.
It's really comforting knowing we do have careers to fall back on, and we have master's degrees to fall back on. And I think that that's what makes entrepreneurship for us a little more comforting, because they need teachers. We will never not get teaching jobs.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, teaching and healthcare. I think those are going to be
Yes.
areas where people are always going to be needed. Okay, talk to me about. You mentioned the pensions, and I'm not super familiar with how pensions work. Are you guys also planning to invest for retirement outside of the pensions, or what has been developed already should be sufficient for the future? What is your plan there?
Yeah, our pensions are just for the California state teaching system, and basically we either teach for 10 years and we have access to everything that was put in there, and then we're vested and it's good to go, or we don't, which neither of us have taught for that long. So basically we're entitled to what we've put in, assuming we never go back to teaching. We can pull that and then roll it into a Roth or something like that. But that's basically the concept of the pension. If you continue teaching, eventually we would have, I think 60% of our final pay upon retirement.
And I think our goal, as far as like our kind of wealth journey and wealth building journey, is to continue to invest in our Roth IRAs each year and max those out. We've started to dabble a little bit into real estate investing. We have just one property, but for us, we don't really ever want to grow, some massive real estate portfolio. So that feels really good right now. And then eventually continuing to expand into brokerage accounts and other accounts where we can just start to kind of like set it and forget it, to be quite honest. That just for us feels really safe and really comfortable, and gives us that projection down the road where we'll feel happy and joyous in retirement. And unfortunately, I don't like using this language because it's a reality for many people, but we won't feel like a burden to our kids because we'll have those funds to sustain us.
Got it. So you're wealth building right now between stock market investing, real estate investing, and your business growth as well. Those are the three
Totally.
pillars you're kind of leaning on. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
great way to think of it. I've never thought that like building a small business is,
Oh yeah.
an investment style and a strategy. That's really cool. I like that.
Well, the flexibility, I mean, at least maybe I'm being biased because I'm trying to do the same thing, is the flexibility that you would gain from having like this massive stock market portfolio and drawing off it for income, or a real estate empire and pulling off it for income. You know, the same thing for entrepreneurship. You're designing the type of lifestyle you want today and
Yeah.
earning the money that you want to earn today from that. And obviously you can,
Mhm.
as you grow and the business, you can have that same flexibility. So I think it's fantastic what you guys are doing, especially with those three different pillars, or experimenting with them and seeing which ones work best for you. And now you mentioned your children. Generational wealth came up a couple times in our conversation. Are there things that you're considering in the future? I know your kids are young. Are there things that you're considering now or in the future for their generational wealth?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I think just obviously the ideas of like continuing to invest in brokerage accounts for them. We did get those set up early just because they're so young that their timeline, right? That horizon is so great for them. I don't know if we'll ever, open 529s. We've tossed about that as well. But the hope is that, our children from living with us get some of those financial education pieces that we don't get, and then transitioning into college or the work field or whatever it looks like, they're more confident with money, so that the generational wealth is more so knowledge almost
Mhm.
than just the financial setup, right? Obviously I think every parent wants that, but at the end of the day we also want them to be knowledgeable so that if they ever get some massive windfall, they don't go out to a bunch of dinners and winery trips.
I love it. Yeah, I completely agree with you. The knowledge that you impart and the lessons that you impart are probably more important than any amount of money. I mean, as you guys have demonstrated with your situation, if it is presented to you in your early 20s, or let's say you invest a lot right now through those brokerage accounts, and then you don't really talk to your kids about money all that much, and then in their early 20s you present them with $600,000. Um, what do you think their chances are for having a different scenario that you guys did?
Yeah, I mean, it's to be almost exactly similar, right? Like
Yeah.
without that knowledge, they're going to fall
Mhm.
into many of those similar traps that we did, the keeping up with the Joneses, particularly with this, social media society that we live in, and what they're going to see and be presented every single day. I mean, it's really hard for folks.
Oh man, what a beautiful lesson that you guys are sharing, and then I know that your kids are going to learn now that you've had this new opportunity with additional cash that's been awarded to you. Obviously, I mean, again, a tragic loss of your mother. Do you feel like your opportunities now with that money will be different in your early 30s than they were with your early 20s?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. That's for 1000%. I mean,
Yeah.
it's significantly smaller. That payment, well, I shouldn't say payment. It's such an uncomfortable thing to say, right? That amount was just $40,000. So not $60,000. And I shouldn't say just because that's such a large chunk of money, right? But for us, it's already helped do some other things on our investing journey, like fund our Roths this year, put money into the real estate project that we're working on, and tidying up the home that we own, other investing ideas that we have between the business and strategies that we want to do with growing the business. So it's already helped us kind of as a tool, right, to get ahead. Whereas the last time we received this windfall, it was not great. It wasn't used maybe in the best ways.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. I mean, it's 10 times less than what you received before, but I believe based on the knowledge you have and the experiences that you have, that it'll be 10 times the impact of where
Totally.
you're going to going in the future. Would you agree?
Oh, 1000%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think we also just have the simple ability. This sounds simple, but it's really hard to just pause and take a breath and think about what we're doing before we do it. But when we were in our early 20s, our brains weren't even fully developed yet. So that was lacking, and the financial knowledge was lacking. So now we have so much more power in this situation to do something and actually have it move the needle forward instead of putting us into a bunch of debt.
Well, I believe that you guys will continue to do that because of what you've done over the past 4 years, growing your wealth by almost $500,000 in less than 5 years. That is an incredible way, and I can only imagine where you guys are going to be in the next 5 years. Talk to us about the next 5 years, the next 10 years. What financial dreams do you have? Where do you see your future going as a family?
I want to build a house, and we live in Northern California, and it's going to be really expensive, but I've got a really big dream of building a house from the ground up and designing the whole thing. So that's what we're on the mission to just continue building wealth so we can save money and increase our income to get to a point where we can make that happen.
I love that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
How about you, Justin? Same or anything else?
I think similarly, and then just in that time frame, as much time as we can get with the kids.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just such a blessing to be able to be home together with our kids until we take our clients in the afternoon. You know, it's really, really fun. It's really fun being present parents. And so my hope is that we just continue to be able to do that in whatever capacity and whatever season of life that looks like. And then, you know, selfishly, yeah, I want my wife to get her house. So that's in my plans as well.
That's a good selfish. I like that response, Justin. Now, if somebody's listening and they have a lot of debt, they're looking at their net worth, and they just learned what net worth was, and they calculated it, and it's in the negative hundreds of thousands of dollars. They got a long way to go, but they want to make progress like you have in getting over to the positive side, and now $250,000 on the positive side. What advice would you have for them as they're looking at this number and maybe the first step that they can take towards that positive side?
When you're in a lot of debt, it's really overwhelming. It can be scary, and it just feels like I don't know where I'm going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes it's hard to see that and to even dream of a life where you're not drowning in debt. But my advice to someone in that situation would be to get a little uncomfortable, and you're already in almost your most uncomfortable state. So get a little more uncomfortable with opening your mind to doing things you might not have thought of doing. We ended up on our journey selling our house. We relocated. We sold cars. We did things that we never thought we would have done because, you know, we wanted to stay where we lived. That's just not what was in the cards for us. But we decided we really wanted to pay off our debt, and that's how we ended up doing it. And that's my advice. It sometimes takes discomfort for a short period of time, but it's not forever.
Yeah. I would just say get started in some small capacity. So, you know, we do see the social media ideas of, you know, a ton of quick success or overnight success and whatever, or you hear our story and some of the things we were able to do because of the original windfall that we received that, you know, kind of catapulted our journey along. And we don't make, you know, we don't kind of mince words about that. We're really blessed and privileged to be in the situation that we were. And if you're not in that situation, just get started with whatever that means. Even if it's $5 additional a week that you're paying off into your debt, or $5 additional a week that you're choosing to invest for your future, every little bit truly does count because you can't get the time back. And so that's what I would suggest is if you're feeling like you want to start, just get started, even in a small capacity, because those habits are going to build and grow and sustain you long term.
That is excellent advice. Yes, sometimes we see these big stories or you know, these things online and we get overwhelmed because there's no way that I can do that. But what you can do is make that 1% improvement today. And you guys are showing us how to do that. Thank you so much for your time today. You guys have a great platform and you are coaching others in the same vein. Tell us where people can connect with you.
Yeah, we are online basically across all social media platforms at Price of Avocado Toast, and our website is priceofavocadotoast.com. You can find our podcast there, all of the offerings we have with like one-to-one coaching, group coaching. We work with people from across the U.S., so that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And our podcast drops every Wednesday morning. So if you like podcasts, go check it out.
Excellent. Yeah. If you're listening to this podcast right now, that's an easy thing to do. Type that in, Price of Avocado Toast, in your favorite podcast player. Haley and Justin, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank you
Andy.
so much.
If you're inspired to start tracking your net worth like Haley and Justin, check out Empower and their free financial tools, which includes a net worth tracker. I've used the Empower net worth tracker over my net worth building journey, and it has helped us to go from a negative $50,000 net worth to over $1 million in just 10 years. That tool is free, and you should check it out using the links below or clicking the link in our video description. Check out this next video from another net worth growth family.